car dealer told me to come back when I knew what I was talking about. So, this was a while ago. But I just read a car dealer story. And made me remember this gem from several years ago. I'm female. And I know about cars. Not a mechanic. But I have some skills. And can differentiate between a transmission and a drivetrain. I researched a specific car that I had become obsessed with finding. A Jeep. And I was totally in love with this special edition they had. It had a limited production. And I was looking to see which dealerships had my prize. Cue the tool salesman. Him. How can we help you today, me? I'm looking for the Arctic Edition Jeep. Him. The what? Me. The. Whatever year it was. Can't remember. Arctic Edition Jeep. They make it in the Wrangler and Liberty body styles. Him. Yeah. I don't think that's a thing. Me. Getting pissed now. Yes. It's a thing. It's on Jeep's actual official website. The website says you have one. Him. Yeah. There's no such thing. You should come back when you know what you're talking about. Me. Mouth agape in shock. Him. Me. Turned around and walked out. The dealership called me several times over the next week. But I never responded. Came back the next week with my Arctic Edition Jeep and made it a point to tell him he missed out on a good commission and that he should never talk down to a customer. Especially a woman. We hold grudges. His response? Red-faced. Whatever. Never purchased a car from that dealership after that fiasco. I had a similar experience with a sales guy named Jackie Johnson. We haggled for a while over a Mazda and finally he came back from checking with his manager and said, "Well, little lady, when you get serious about buying a car you come back and see us." I left, went to a different dealership, and bought the car. A few days later he called and asked if I had given it some thought. I said I had, and bought one. He was highly indignant I didn't give him another chance. I said I seriously wanted a new car. Make sure the sales manager knows why you bought somewhere else and the review sites. Reminds me of the time I went to Radio Shack to get a little adapter cable I needed for a computer. I was upgrading the hard drive in. I told the sales guy what I needed. I had gotten them there before. He told me there was no such cable. I pointed to the wall behind him and said that's it hanging right there. I had a similar experience when I was in the market for a dryer. I researched ventless dryers and found a full-size one. Off to the appliance store. The first salesman blew me off saying there was no such thing as a full-size ventless dryer and sent me to a different guy. Second guy never heard of it either, but was willing to look it up. A half hour later, I had it ordered and the second salesman had a decent commission. First guy's customers that he took instead of me left without making a purchase. You should have Juliet him. You work on commission, right? Big mistake. Huge. Lol. I had something similar happen. Shopping for a new car. Got sat down in an office with a guy who told me I was wrong for wanting to finance and explaining why I should lease instead. Have you ever heard the word liability before? After sending another woman associate to get me a drink and to appraise my current car, he said we would test drive the sports model because pretty young things should zip around in something sporty. That was when I stormed out. I had to go to the main desk to find the woman with my keys. And the receptionist seemed appalled, but not surprised, and wanted me to talk to the GM. I left my info and got a call from the sales guy apologizing if something he said upset me. Bought a brand new high-end model of my car from a different dealership. 60F. Butcher here. Customer told me they want to talk to a real butcher. AKA male. Women obviously couldn't be butchers. So, I sent my new male meat wrapper out. I explained the situation to him. He didn't know the difference between a roast or steak. He was new to all this. He keeps telling her he doesn't know anything because this is his second day working. And he's not a butcher. She ignores everything he's telling her. I go back out and she starts berating me for having an ignorant butcher. Again. I tell her I'm the butcher and he is not. She walked out. You can't help stupid. I'm glad you made that tool feel stupid. Sadly, I doubt he learned his lesson. It's a nice addition, Jeep smiley face. I have always loved MX-5 MK1. Mida. 10 years, finally found one in mint condition limited edition, and for once I had the money to buy it. Went to the dealers to ask about a test drive and buy it, and the guy we saw did nothing but answer my questions directly to my husband and basically ignored me. Hubby saw I was annoyed and knew why, and I said I will be back in a moment and went to another salesperson. Hubby saw what I was doing and went outside to wait. I took the car for a test drive and bought it, meaning the salesperson got a bloody good commission. Went to the obnoxious salesperson and thanked him for letting me give the commission to someone who deserved it. Don't get me started on estate agents. You should come back when you know what you're talking about. WTF talks like this as a salesperson? He should have advised you some other model or convince you buy a better one instead. His fragile masculinity was threatened when you know same or more than him. Back when I was a lot younger and pre-internet reviews, I wanted a new Mustang. I was going through a divorce and I decided I was going to live a little and buy the car I wanted. I settled on a 2012 Laguna Seca Mustang and went down to the Ford dealership. Being it was Oklahoma, it really doesn't surprise me, but the salesman asked me if my husband was okay with my purchase and told me they would need him to come down and approve it. I laughed. Said well, good luck with that, as I walked out. I drove down to Dallas and drove home in my new 45K Mustang, which in 2011 would be the equivalent of around $70K now. Drove it right over to the local dealership and rubbed it in his face, saying you could have sold it to me but you didn't. I made sure to let his manager know as well. I should have known better than to try to buy a car there. I had a 2005 Mustang GT Premium that had a bad sending unit. I took it to the same dealership because it's still under warranty, and they laughed when I told them they would have to replace the whole fuel pump because the sending unit was inside. They told me no, the sending unit was outside the fuel pump. Sure enough, they had to replace the whole pump because I was right. I honestly got so angry after my experiences at that dealership I went into the auto industry. I sold cars and a lot of my customers were women because they knew I was going to tell them straight. I made a vow to never have a woman feel like I did that day. In turn, I gained a lot of respect from men as well, who came down to tell me their wife, sister, daughter, girlfriend, mama bought from me, and how I treated them swayed their decision to buy from me. I started making six figures a year just by treating other women the way I wanted to be treated in a dealership. Oh, by the way, if you're formatting your posts on your phone, put a double space at the end of each line prior to text you want to place on its own new line. It took me weeks to figure out why it made my dialogue writing into a huge blob of text. Winking face. Edit. My actual response is a separate post summary. Awesome. Isn't the obligatory comeback. Sell a lot of cars with that attitude? Guess I'll find a dealer that's in the car business. Good grief. Yes. 30-ish at the time. Needed 4 new tires for a higher-end vehicle many years ago and went to the local shop to see what they had that met the need for speed, heat, and wear ratings. I asked about a few specific models and the guy hemmed and hawed. So I said, okay. Brand, Model X will do. Finally he said, you want brand, Model X? We don't have those. But this one here looks just like it. You mean it's black, round, with a big hole in the middle? Yeah, thanks anyway. Spent obscene amount of money elsewhere on the tires I wanted. Cool. Thanks to you I just learned the drivetrain doesn't include the engine and transmission. I was confused so I looked it up. Nice. Anyway, I'm a dude who doesn't care about cars very much lol. They are dirty and built by people with tiny hands. Or even tinier robot hands. I've done enough normal maintenance in the past several decades and I decided it's enough. No more. Anyway, I like your story and it was cool to learn something my dad forgot to teach me. He's into that manly kind of junk. Septuagenarians. Bah. One thing a salesman should know about a female: we do research. Tears of joy. I had a weird salesman a few months ago. The first things out of his mouth were the type of car he drove and how much money he makes. He made so much money that my husband and I decided we should find someone who actually wanted ours and wants to help. I love this. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy with my Islander. But I wish I had known in 2012 there was an Arctic edition. That thing looks amazing.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.